Good morning, Would-Be Farmer here, somewhere between Jacksonville and Orlando, Florida. Let's talk a bit today about trees. When I think about my understanding of trees when I was a kid, I would have said they gave us fruit, maybe some nuts, an apple tree over Mr. Johnson's yard. We would steal from him, of course. We'd steal his apples. They give us shade, they give us fruit, some nuts. That was basically my understanding of what trees did. And sometimes people would consider them to be nuisances. Fruit on the sidewalk, or we have to rake up the leaves or whatever. And then later in school, I was taught about photosynthesis. The plants and trees take the sunlight and they give us air for us to breathe, and that's so cool. But what I have come to find out, even more impressive about trees, is they do everything. Trees do everything. They are everything. Plants and trees are one of the key reasons for our existence. Chlorophyll, photosynthesis, the trees take carbon dioxide from the air and they make carbohydrates, they make sugars and starches and cellulose and all that neat stuff. So they take carbon from the air, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. With the magic of sunshine and water from the roots, they make their own food. They make food. They make starches and sugars and cellulose. They make carbohydrates. What do those carbohydrates do? Well, we know they feed their own systems. They make food for themselves. They are autotrophs. They create their own food. They have to grow wood, right? They have to grow cambium, and they have to grow bark, and they have to grow leaves and branches. But they also produce food for animals. Browse, deers, boar eat the acorns. Squirrels use it as habitat. Animal habitat, animal food, animal browse. Birds nest, woodpeckers. They also feed the soil organisms. Springtails, mites, earthworms. Some of these organisms are so small we can't see them. They're microscopic, of course. I think in 1 tablespoon of decent soil, there's maybe 10,000 amoeba, 1 million fungi, and 1 billion bacteria. Wow. Lots of life in the soil. And those microorganisms, they're doing their thing. They're breaking down soil, they're breaking down stuff. Earthworms are pulverizing leaf litter. So they need food. Speaking of food, I'm running into a spider web here. Let me see how I get around. Can I get by you, guy? All right. Yeah, I did it. I negotiated right past the spider web. So they need food. These nutrients in the soil. Mycorrhizal fungal networks. Mycorrhizal. Greek, literally meaning, I think mycos is fungus or fungi. And rhizome, roots, root fungus. These fungal networks connect trees, extend the roots of the trees. These fungal networks, they actually, through their hypha or hyphae, these little filaments of fungal networks, They actually extend into the root tips of these tree roots, extend their reach so that they can more adequately get nutrients and water into their system. These trees, their roots connect with these fungus networks. We see these mushrooms popping up on the ground. That's only part of these vast fungal networks, miles and miles and miles. Amazing what trees are doing. And not only do trees provide photosynthesis, they also store carbon. They clean our air. They carbon dioxide from the air. They clean our air. Well, how else do they clean our air? When you think about it, pollen and dust and all the particles that settle on the leaves, that's a filter. And when it rains, it pulls all this stuff down into the soil. Pulls all this stuff down into the soil. Very similarly, as Bill Mollison pointed out, to how we stand in a shower. The water hits us on top of the head. What goes down the drain is a lot different from that water that came out of the faucet and hit us on the head. Well, that's what the rain does. The rain pulls all this stuff down from the canopy of the trees. Kind of a rich broth that goes into the soil. So trees filter, plants and trees filter, clean our air. They cycle water. Think about the water from the roots that pulls up through the trees, through their little capillary networks. I have read recently that the weight of a tree, 50% of the weight of a tree is in water. So if you have a huge 200-year-old oak, one of those majestic oaks out in the front of your property there, in your backyard or whatever, and if it weighs 1,000 pounds, that's 500 pounds of water. And I think water, if I can remember, is about 8 pounds per gallon. So I'm not going to be that quick and do the math, but I think you get my point. Water storage, trees, they store our water, they cycle our water through evaporation and transpiration. They pull water up through the roots into their system. Leaves through their leaves. How do you like that? Through their stoma. Water vapor rises through the forest. You ever notice how much more warm and moist you are in a forest than if you are in like a scrub area? Water rises up through the trees and creates rain. I was shocked. I didn't understand how the trees contributed to rain. Water vapor up through the trees. You do some studying on the trees in the Amazon, for example, or any of the rainforests, Indonesia, northern Australia, and it's quite amazing how water vapor will rise, form in the clouds. It'll form around particulate matter, tiny little particles. And that's how the raindrops fall. Mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing what trees do. So the photosynthesis. They create their own food. They create food for us. They create animal habitat. They cycle water. They cycle carbon. They clean our air. You give us shade, fruit, nuts, food. Here is a little tiny little bitty tangerine grove here. I don't know if you can see any of these tangerines are showing up here, and these are sweet tangerines growing in our little forest out here. I don't know how easy it is to see, but there are tangerines here. There's one right there in the middle of the screen. And these aren't grafted. I can't believe anybody would intentionally have planted these tangerine trees here. But we noticed them one day and picked the fruit thinking, it's probably sour orange, you know, it's gonna be nasty. It wasn't sour orange, it was sweet tangerines. So we have taken some of those seeds and we have planted them around our property, and some of the trees are growing. Absolutely. I think I have maybe 5 sweet tangerine trees growing, so a few more years, hopefully, things go well. We'll have a lot more tangerines to eat. Oh, but trees are wonderful. They're marvelous. Underestimated them, what they can do. And I didn't mention that they provide fiber, of course. They provide building materials if we responsibly manage them. But that's it. That's my bit on trees for right now. Hope you enjoyed my video. There will be more. Take care.